Hi, my name is Joni Ormsbee, and one of the things that I observe every semester that we start calculus is that students are struggling with foundational skills. They're not necessarily struggling with the calc concepts, but the foundational skills that are necessary for success in calculus that I find. And some of those foundational skills are algebra and trig and graphing and some exponentials and logarithms. And we had a question yesterday on social media that I posted for my professor readiness check in the area of trig. So let's see what that question was. So I asked you guys yesterday, if you remember, that the sine of pi over 6. So take a minute and see if you have a chance to answer this, or maybe this is the first time you've seen it. All right. Well, if you hesitated, that is not uncommon. If you got the answer that I'm going to show you here, it's 1/2. Great job. But it isn't uncommon for you to kind of hesitate a little bit, for students especially, because it could have been a while, maybe a year or two. Maybe they just haven't had a chance to refresh those skills. In this case, a trig skill, which has to do with the unit circle. So let's try one more. All right, so the cosine of pi over 6, and the answer to that is square root of 3 over 2. Again, it's not about memorizing, but recognizing patterns in math, specifically the unit circle in this context. And so why does it matter? Well, it matters because trig is a foundational skill to calculus, as well as algebra and functions and graphing. And last week I asked you about some algebra skills and factoring. So this week we were talking about trig and the unit circle. And students will tell me usually in the fall or each semester that I teach Calc 1 in the beginning of the semester that they remember the idea of the unit circle. They just don't always remember all the values behind the unit circle. So it's more about familiarity and being refreshed perhaps in these skills. The good news is that they can refresh these skills before the semester begins. And that way they aren't having to learn the calculus along with the trig, because calculus moves pretty quickly and there just isn't time to reteach the trig. So what I've created is a free calculus readiness assessment to help your student know if they're ready for calculus and these foundational skills. They can identify strengths and any hidden gaps that they have. They can receive a personalized assessment feedback from me. I actually grade the assessments myself, and they'll discover these prerequisite skills that need review. And then they can enter college calculus with a little bit more confidence. So go ahead and download the free assessment by scanning the QR code or go to my website at calculusready.com. And I hope to see an email or hear from you soon. Look for the next Professor Readiness Check next week.